Hello. Tonight we saw Alien Romulus, the reboot, sequel, midquel of Alien, obviously. Connor, what is the plot of Alien Romulus?
Alien Romulus takes place on a spaceship that is invaded by aliens. This group of people on a satellite called Romulus decided to attempt to genetically use the alien DNA to evolve humans, and there's an evil android man who wants humans to basically evolve and see their best potential because he sees humans as a superior species, but evolution is too slow. So then when these group of basically scavengers, like Rey from Star Wars, go on the ship to scavenge, they start getting attacked by aliens, and the dude's like, try to save the samples and make it so we can have super alien superhumans. And then everybody dies, basically. So Aiden, what did you think of Alien Romulus?
I loved Alien Romulus. I thought it was fantastic. It's got a lot of DNA of Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead in it. The Evil Dead from 2013, where it's ultimately very derivative of the originals. But it takes its own avenues, and he's got a very distinct visual style and definitely likes to go over the top at a certain point. Although it does play it cool for a while, but it definitely goes over the top. And unfortunately, like Evil Dead 2013, being so derivative is probably going to always leave it in the shadow of its predecessors. Pretty heavily. Perhaps more so for Evil Dead 2013 because it is much more derivative than this. This is kind of like the first 2/3 of it are basically Alien and return the series to horror, which hasn't been done in a long time because Aliens is basically an action movie, and then Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection were basically action movies, and then they became weird late era Ridley Scott movies, which is to say borderline nonsense. So this is a nice return to the horror feel of the original movie for a good portion of it, and then it basically becomes Aliens at the end, and then it basically becomes Alien Resurrection, but significantly better at the even more end. There's these constantly escalating stakes, where initially they have a time limit of 36 hours to get in the ship and get the things they need and get out before it crashes into the rings of the planet and blows up. That time window keeps shrinking, and there's a lot of setup and payoff to things. They set up the gravity machine resetting itself every few minutes early on, and that comes back for a very over-the-top and silly set piece. When it gets to the action parts, it's fantastic. The horror stuff in the first 2/3 is incredible. It maybe goes a little too far in the end and becomes kind of ridiculous in both of its endings. It basically ends twice. But the first 2/3, especially when it's a horror movie, are just wonderful. The human cast does suffer a little. They're not all that interesting. They don't have the playful chemistry of the original cast in the first movie. Rook comes back as a weird CGI de-aged thing because Disney made this and they love doing bad CGI de-aging. That's probably the one part of the movie that doesn't look fantastic, is the de-aged Rook, who's kind of the central villain. The aliens are threatening and intimidating. The horror stuff at the start is fantastic. If you like if you like movies getting silly and weird in the third act, it goes all sorts of places with some incredible set pieces. I really like the character of Andy. He's a synthetic that they give a lot more empathy to than other synthetics in the series, outside of Michael Fassbender and the weird late era ones. But in those movies are fucking weird. Those movies are really fucking weird.
Yeah. Alien Covenant is just a very poorly done remake of Aliens by Ridley Scott, who did Alien.
Yeah.
And not even... He's like,
James
Cameron was
for some
cooking there,
reason.
so let's bring back Fassbender. It takes place like 100 years in the future.
Michael Fassbender plays the piano to make the Prometheus goo do the stuff, and the Prometheus goo's in this thing. And then towards the end, it just becomes Alien Resurrection with like the human-alien hybrid, which is really funny. And it's insane that they tried again. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I still really loved the movie, but going the Alien Resurrection route in the last 10 minutes is kind of insane. Yeah, I'm a little all over the place. I don't actually have all that much to say, I don't think. Without just like ruining all the fun and tense sequences. There's a lot more facehugger action. They're more central to the plot instead of being like the plot device that gets to the big scary alien. And that's pretty cool. The first 2/3 are incredibly tense and scary, and I loved it. I thought, even though it's derivative, it definitely is. It was a fantastic return for the series to horror. And much like Evil Dead 2013, it will be very forgotten because it's derivative of the two best movies ever made. Two of the best movies ever made, which is unfortunate because it is really, really good. Connor, what did you think of Alien Resurrection? Alien Romulus. Not Resurrection, that one's bad.
I thought it was okay. Here's the thing about Alien Romulus. When Disney bought Fox, they just continued to release the same amount of movies, or like 2 more than their average, since Fox. Like, they didn't change much. They put Fox on a relatively short leash, and they're allowed... 20th Century Studios is allowed to play with their franchises still occasionally, but on a Disney budget and with Disney guidelines. So what they did was...
You have to put a de-aged character in.
You have to put a de-aged character. It has to be like a nostalgia sidequel. It felt a lot like The Force Awakens in a lot of ways, where it's remixed. I mean, this one they remix both
and Alien Resurrection.
Alien and Aliens and Alien Resurrection. Really, the original 4.
Not really 3.
Not
3
really
kind of
3.
gets left out, but
most of this, they took a lot of elements from other Alien movies and decided to make it one thing with a unique cast of characters, but very much a derivative feel. But I feel like, much like the director's Evil Dead reboot, it's derivative, and it's okay because it's very good at being derivative. It doesn't have like a Sigourney Weaver.
no.
I mean, there's the thin brunette woman. They wanted to make sure to check that box. Interestingly, something Star Wars does too a lot. But anyways, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels like a retread. I thought none of the side characters were interesting at all, except the main character was marginally interesting, but looked pretty similar to the other brunette pregnant woman. So sometimes I was confused who the fuck I was looking at, and maybe it was because of my...
I think that's autism.
I think in part, but also there were points where, like, especially the start, like later on when pregnant woman is like in the fucking spaceship for 2/3 of the movie and just like panting heavily, and like I went from kind of pregnant to super pregnant, and now I'm sweating because we're getting attacked by aliens. Like, I could tell then who was who. But I was like, so the two most noteworthy characters in the movie, besides Andy the android, were these two women that looked pretty much the same to me. Especially when they were flashing back and forth between them, and I was like, who the fuck is on screen right now? The skinny brunette woman won, and skinny brunette woman with slightly curlier hair who's also pregnant.
Well, that's
and
the
with
girl
the
from
dark
Transformers 5.
Yeah. And the other girl is the girl from a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
And she's in like Civil War recently, and that's the main lady, and a bunch of other shit.
I forgot about that. Yeah, she is.
She's in a bunch of shit. But yeah, I don't know. I was like, also kind of like, at times, like the horror was like just like, we're gonna do 10 minutes of very non-suspenseful horror where aliens are jumping from the ceiling eating people, and then we're gonna chill for 45 minutes where these not so interesting characters fuck around.
So like the first movie.
Yeah, but there was a rapport in the first movie. That's the difference. They didn't write an interesting character. The actress lady who's the main character is not that fucking interesting. She's not Sigourney Weaver. You need a Sigourney Weaver. This lady's just like, oh. And then it's like, okay, we know what's going to happen. She's going to survive, and maybe Andy's going to survive, and it's going to be really sad when the pregnant lady dies in the third act, and all the douchey dudes are going to die in the start. And that's exactly what happened.
There's even more vagina and penis in this one.
Yeah, this one was really
this
like...
This one's got like full-blown vaginas on screen.
Yeah, there's the fucking vaginas everywhere.
Like drippy, disgusting vaginas.
And I mean, it's shot really well, and it's not bad. I sound like I'm complaining really hard. Like, I had a fine time, but also it's like... I don't know. I think part of it is people get caught up in the hype of the fact that Aiden gets caught up in the hype that it's not fucking horrible like the other ones. Ridley Scott might have been able to make an okay alien movie, but kind of like George Lucas with the Star Wars prequels, he was given the checkbook and told, make a lore movie for us with a popular IP, and Disney reins that in and said no.
That was all.
It's got to be a nostalgia sequel, basically. No, I know it was his idea, but it was his idea that was facilitated by the fact that fucking Fox allowed him.
Yeah, no, they gave him a blank check to make a bunch.
But that's what I'm saying is
movies.
Disney said, "We'll take Guy, who's directed nothing but nostalgia sequels and remakes." And we'll have him.
Is really good too. Actually,
He makes. Oh yeah, Don't Breathe is actually original, but I don't know. I think like Don't Breathe, this movie and Evil Dead all fall into the camp of, yeah, that was all right, and I'm gonna forget about it next week, but it was all right. Like, I don't know. Like, it was good. I wasn't like major. I wasn't like blown away. I thought it was fine. I thought Andy the android was fun. I thought there was some decent set pieces. Like there's one where she's like floating around with anti-gravity and like dodging like spouts of acid from a bunch of aliens she just shot up. And that was kind of fun. But it's like, it was kind of sporadically fun, and there wasn't good enough characters to kind of fill the void, the downtime, so to speak, the movie was so interested in. And also, like, the genetic mutation to make people a super alien people. Meh. You know? And it's like, do we really... I don't know. I think Alien is... I thought it was... I think Alien...
That's an extension of the plot line from the weird fucking lore movies.
Everything's... Like, it connects
because
too much,
Ridley
too.
Scott.
It connects too much, too. And I think the director is too reverent for the whole franchise, you know? It's like, just send some guys into space. Make it vague whether it's a remake, a sequel, or something different entirely. It doesn't really have to follow anything. It can just be, we're going into space now. Then the alien fucks them up. And then either have them get stalked by one super evil alien, or have them shoot up a bunch of evil aliens. I don't really fucking care what you want to do. But the fact that there were Alien 4 references, and I'm shocked the fucking Predator didn't show up. But I will give 20th Century Studios and Disney props, because Disney giving them a lack of a budget, like they're not getting a fucking Marvel budget for the Alien movie or Predator or anything like that. And it made for a very inventive and fun Predator movie. and probably the most okay alien movie they could have possibly made. Which is better than what we've been getting.
I think you're a Debbie Downer.
I'm not being a Debbie Downer. It's not bad. I just, like, you know, it's like fucking write some characters that aren't boring.
Yeah, the characters aren't great.
You got Mrs. Retread of Sigourney Weaver, but way worse, and she's the meat you can chew on. Andy was good, I'll admit, but he was surrounded by such a dog shit, like supporting cast and main lady.
No, yeah, the humans are pretty bad.
It's like it just wasn't there. And like there's like this stuff where she's like, my father said that he must protect me, and we're good friends. I'm shocked he didn't start rolling around. I'm shocked he wasn't just BB-8, honestly. Oh, we're good friends.
No, he had autism.
I also have super RNG powers. I mean, Sigourney Weaver did too, but at least Sigourney Weaver was kind of a badass. This lady just has super RNG powers for fun and no reason. Like, Sigourney Weaver also had superhero powers for fun and no reason. Super luck powers and ambition and whatever. But Sigourney Weaver, she chewed it up. This lady doesn't so much. She's just kind of like she is in every other movie where she looks confused. And then somehow is able to outmaneuver and kill like 50 fucking aliens that are slaughtering her friends with no issue. But I suppose that's kind of the idea. Also, even Prey, I mean, Prey in a lot of ways did the same shit, but I didn't complain because the character was interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a lot more forgiving on the fucking ass pull. This lady's all of a sudden a super fucking, like, conniving genius. Maybe not conniving, crafty bitch. That's what I was looking for. I can buy it more in a movie where the character is fun to watch, but I don't know. I thought she was boring. So, Aiden, would you recommend Alien Romulus?
Absolutely. I loved it. It's derivative. It's a soft remake of 3 movies that aren't all that similar. Goes off the rails a little bit, but it's pretty incredibly shot. Characters are a little weak, but I really loved the horror atmosphere of the first 2/3. I thought it was a lot of fun. I wish the characters were better. I guess maybe I'm just an Evil Dead 2013 defender because I like that one a lot too. But
I don't mind Evil Dead 2013, but I have the same problems with it. Why would I watch Evil Dead 2013 when I could just watch Evil Dead 2? The king of all movies.
Well, this one saves you time by condensing all the movies into one, except for Alien 3.
Yeah, that's
and the
true.
weird ones.
It is probably the best way to just watch the 3 Alien movies. I don't speed run it. It's like the Spark Notes of Aliens 1, 2, and 4.
I don't know. I don't care.
I feel like the guy had a box set, but his Alien 3 DVD or his Alien
it was
like
too
his,
scratched up. So he's
it was too scratched up. It was skipping. He's like, fuck it, and then he just took notes. He's like, I'm not gonna look at critical analysis. I'm not even gonna analyze the movies myself. I'm just gonna write what I saw and put it into my own movie. With really boring characters.
I like the body horror stuff. I like all the vagines and the penises and the lady giving birth to a little scary monster.
It was probably the least subtle of the least subtle franchise of all time when it comes to weird sex references.
I started laughing.
Because it was just the dripping vagina on the wall for like 3 minutes. It didn't even disguise the
when
fact
they're in
that
the
it was
room
a
with the
vagina.
face huggers at the start, when one of them gets on the guy and it starts dick slapping him on the cheek.
Well, he shoved.
I started laughing.
Well, there was also the part where where the guy sticks his gun into the fucking weird alien vagina and then starts shooting it. And then he's like, what? And then he pulls the gun out and it's covered in acid, but it's just literally a reverse. It looks like a fucking...
It's a vagina.
If you switch it looks like he was just like, I don't know, putting some shit in a vagina to me.
He was dildoing that bad boy up.
Yeah. This video is rated mature.
I like how gross and violent, and I even like when it gets over the top, just like Evil Dead 2013. I think it's a lot of fun. I love the return to horror. I thought this was fantastic. I loved it. Connor, would you recommend Alien Romulus?
Yeah, sure. It's good. I mean, it's not bad.
Okay.